Thank you.
Good morning. It's 9:30 a.m. Thursday, December 21st. Shortest day of the year. Richland County Board of Commissioners is now in session. I'm County Commissioner Mears, joined by fellow commissioners Darrell Banks, Tony Vera, our clerk Stacy Crowell, County Administrator Andrew Keller, HR Director Kelly Christensen, Mr. Morgan Stern is here, and online we have Al from the News Journal, complimenting Grace from Richland Source. And joining us this morning, latest director, Steve Risser, for the building department. So that's our first order of business right now, the announcement of the new building director. If I can kind of paraphrase your background a little bit, and then I'll let you speak to what you've got in mind to what all the things you're bringing to the table for us. Steve was from the Ohio Department of Commerce, Division of Industrial Compliance, and there you were the chief building official. Prior to that, you were the chief building official and deputy city engineer with the city of Mansfield. And you were a former county official as well. You were the director, sanitary and stormwater engineer and floodplain administrator for the same building department. Along with your many certifications, you are a graduate of the Ohio State University. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like to say a few words about your new home here in Richland County, the homecoming?
It feels good to be back. It definitely feels good to be back. I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to come back here and serve our constituents, our residents, our future business owners here in the county. It's definitely bittersweet leaving the state, because it was a very good opportunity at the state, but it's coming back allows me, the county and the area has always been near to my heart, growing up here, having family here, watching the area develop and progress. The Board of Commissioners 20 years ago gave me a similar opportunity, and I hope that we did some good work and left it better, and that's the goal. Again, is to come back here, do some good work, definitely make things better. So, thank you.
Look forward to having you, Steve.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Besides being very experienced in building codes, he also makes a mean pancake, by the way, so.
I don't claim any significant Gretel time for the pancake. Just, shopping and
Primary
and organizing.
for this job.
Well, I'm sure we
Skills.
can whip something up. So
Well, I'm not gonna delay any longer. Couldn't find a better person for this job, so I'll make the motion to hire Mr. Steve Risser as the County Building Codes Director at a salary of $98,000 a year, effective January 18th, 2024.
we need to, since we've chatted with work, I've got a couple hearings that may have been continued. We need to potentially talk about that start date.
Okay, well, let's at least get that on the record and go from there.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I will second that.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment if I could.
Yes.
Steve is no stranger to Richland County, and we always love any opportunity as the Board of Commissioners to bring talent back to Richland County. That's why this was a no-brainer. As many of you recall, Risser worked in the building department as our director some years ago in Richland County. And when I was in the prosecutor's office, we had the opportunity to work on a host of different projects together. So we have had many marathon sessions in the prosecutor's office, strategizing through projects involving everything from the building department to sanitary engineering to stormwater engineering. It's that breadth of experience that Steve has that will serve him well in this position.
I think, Steve, you're joining us at a time in Richland County of explosive growth. And I'm looking forward to all you're going to bring to the table to the Build Richland initiative, which involves many different organizations to help facilitate that growth.
Yes, we were part of that from the very from the very onset, like, was it Dave Baldwin? I think we talked about this last time. Is Dave Baldwin the guy that started that whole,
I don't know,
Before my time, I know
my time.
Marilyn John was one of the originators.
anyways, it's one of those things that you remember and you're trying to pick, sitting on the tip of my
You
tongue.
also have to give Adrian a hard time too as part of your job duty, so please do so.
Might need to write that into the position.
Yeah, I might actually write that
Yeah.
directly into the job
I'm
description.
not doing this personally. I've required.
Legal aid, that would make me very happy.
Contract.
Yes.
Commissioner Mears, Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
Oh, now it's official.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Grace, do you have any questions for Stephen?
So do you have anything you're most proud of when you were previously working for the city and county?
There's not one thing that really stands out, but just we always had a really good crew of people to work with, and I think we developed some really good partnerships because a lot of the work that we do might be predicated by somebody else, or we might affect another process down the line, and trying to build good relationships and understand everybody else's process. So how we can all work together, we can all flow together. The permitting, the rule enforcement, the code enforcement process is typically not a straightforward path. There's not just a simple checklist you can use that say, do these 3 things and you're good. So trying to work everybody and work all the partnerships and get everybody to work together and understand how we can help somebody open a business or help them comply with an issue or deal with an issue or just plan. That always stood out, forging those relationships, creating those partnerships, working with all the people. We always had really good teams of people to work with. Again, trying to make things better, constant learning, constant improvement, always, learning from our mistakes, learning from our successes. So.
Do you have any goals as you're coming into the new position?
We have a code change coming up. We've got a significant code change coming up to the state building code that will be March 1st. So getting some advertising out, getting some notifications out so we don't catch people off guard with the code change. Tying back to creating, working with partnerships and saying, and working with different people, whether it's, the health department, soil and water, the zoning people, the other municipalities that we serve, the contractors, the architects, the engineers. One of the big things that we really pushed before was bringing issues to us before they become an issue. Whether it's an inspection issue or a plan development issue. And the thing I always told the architects and the engineers was, put us on your design team. So if you've got questions, that there's going to be an issue. Let's figure out how we can answer this in an early stage or when you think you might have an issue. It might not be an issue. It might just be a simple question that needs answered or, reinforcement of your interpretation, but putting us on your team early so we can work those issues out before they become issues. So you're not 6 months into developing a set of plans and you've got a construction schedule set. And then you come to the building department. It's like, hey guys, we got a problem. Let's figure that out early. So again, fostering those early partnerships, preliminary reviews is what we used to call it. The state has a very similar process that we've used to again help solve those problems. And from a construction standpoint, let's talk about the critical path. What's my timeline? What are my critical items that I have to follow through to get to the end? Is keeping us off the critical path.
Brilliant. Okay, Al, do you have any questions for Stephen?
Yeah, excuse me, I've got a number of. Dave, remind me, you are a certified plans examiner now, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you weren't when you were here before, were you?
I was, yes.
Oh, you were?
I was
Okay.
the primary plans examiner for the building department.
Okay, I couldn't remember because it's been an issue since you've been gone. That's why, finding one. Um, what what prompted you to come back? Just, I know, lots of times people take job opportunities there. Do you feel that you've taken the opportunities and you've tried other things and now want to come back? Is it that kind of situation?
Um, I wasn't necessarily looking for any job opportunities. I mean, working for the state's been a marvelous opportunity. I mean, that's at the top of your career level, in this industry. But the board had approached me after the most recent personnel changes in the building department. We had some conversations, and it's an opportunity to be back closer to home and be closer to my family. I've got kids that are getting older and sports schedules that are getting more hectic, and it's don't get me wrong, I'm excited to be back. I know a lot of the staff that we're working with here, great crew, great staff. Kind of rekindle some past connections as well. I'm definitely looking forward to that, but it's an opportunity to be back closer to home.
We absolutely pursued Steve, Al. We made the first call.
Al, just
Okay.
one other additional comment for you. When you had asked about the certified staff, that's an issue nationwide. That people that handle this type of work are facing. The government agencies are typically the ones that are in charge of the building code enforcement and things like that, whether it's a local township, county, city, parish in Louisiana, state, whatever municipal corporation structure you have. That's an industry-wide problem that's going on right now. And Ohio is feeling a big pinch of that because of the COVID pandemic. There are a lot of people that are retiring. A lot of the people in our industry come to these types of jobs as an inspector, a plans examiner, a building official as a second career. They've spent time in the trades or in the design world or in the construction world, and they're finding this as a second career. These types of jobs typically aren't jobs that everybody says growing up, I want to be a building inspector. And the same was true for me. The job found me when the commissioners, had talked to me 20 years ago. The job found me, and it wasn't even anything I had ever considered or ever had a path to. How do I become this? It was, hey, you're local, you're an engineer, we'd like to talk to you. But anyways, that's the phenomenon that the experience the county just had with losing a staff member is going on statewide, nationwide, and that's one of the things that we'll hopefully look at as far as some long range planning for the department as to how what are our risks and personnel and who's eligible for retirement and when, and how do we be prepared for that if it happens again.
Okay. One thing that I know Kara Russell said, the building department had expanded. Now all of a sudden, there are private firms taking over, some of that business. Do you see that as a problem for Richland County, or do you pretty much see the Richland County Building Department continuing to concentrate on the county itself?
Not to put the board on the spot, but that's a board decision. My goal is to absolutely keep, work with our department. So all of us out there can work to keep those services local, non-contracted, under the control of the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. I know one thing that's being worked on, at least through regional planning, is to try to unify township building codes. Do you see that as a priority?
Zoning.
Yeah, that's gonna be a zoning issue, and zoning is separate from building. So zoning is local ordinance, whether it's township, and in the cities and villages as well. What we'll handle primarily is enforcement of the state residential and commercial building codes. But by all means, I mean, that was always when I talked about the partnerships we had before, is talking about working with zoning. Building codes can have some effect, from a very high level, simple standpoint. Building codes can affect where a building's placed on a lot, so can zoning. Sometimes those pull an owner in two different directions. And that's where we kind of work together to figure out, hey, here's what zoning requires, here's what's building requires. Let's find what's mutual to both of those and figure out how to, again, help somebody get their project moving.
Another project that's in the works, is an improvement to the, Belleville, sewer, so the county can turn it over. Is your office gonna have any, role in that?
I'm not sure yet. As my understanding, since a lot of the sanitary engineering duties were moved to wastewater, I would imagine primarily wastewater would handle that. The board might be more in a good place to comment on that. But obviously, if they bring it to our plate that we've got to handle something with it, we'll take it by the horns.
Al, I think that'll be handled mostly by the water department.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al.
I think you have a press release you'll send out too,
I
right?
do have a press release on your employment
Thank you.
I'll release, and I was going to stop by the department today and announce your start and
Okay,
so on.
great.
You're welcome to come if you like.
Got
I don't know what your schedule allows.
Got an appeal case this afternoon in Columbus. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm
Okay,
gonna stare at 71 for an hour.
okay.
That's why he's one of the reasons why he's coming back, boys.
Well, delighted to have you, Steve. Look forward
Thank you, sir.
18th or whatever that
You
happens.
want his picture, Grace, or anything for an article?
I've got a few of you chalk in, but
Ooh,
Got a face made for radio.
action shot.
all right.
Okay. Move on.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you.
Be safe.
I'll get in second Merry Christmas to you as well. I'll get in touch. I don't know what your schedule looks like. So when I talk to the office about dates, they were concerned, we've got some hearings coming up. I think it's the 18th and 19th.
Oh, actual start date.
January, and that's from, some of these cases, we don't know if somebody's about a week before. They've got up to a week before to file. But anyway, I mean, we're not talking too far into that. We'll figure things out.
Yeah.
If we got stuff to do in the meantime. we
Yeah,
can
as
certainly-
soon as this meeting's done, I was gonna run down and say,
Okay,
he'll be the new sheriff in town.
okay,
Let him know some.
great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay. Next agenda items are, could I have a motion to certify the record of proceedings for December 18th and 19th?
I'm gonna make a motion to amend the 19th. On the tape 0.09.32 on one of the commissioners reconvene their meeting and tape 0.42.24 wellness section. Says when asked, just we are scaling back the requirements since we are 4 months into the plan. I specifically remember, and I'd like the minutes to reflect through no fault of Richland counties as SEPTA made the decision to switch wellness providers. Want to make sure if anyone reads that, that's not Richland County's fault. So that would be my proposed amendment.
You did say that. I'll second that.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Have a motion to approve the transfer and appropriation requests.
Second.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks? Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Next before us is to review and approve revised section 7.17 of the drug and alcohol policy for the county. Kelly and or Andrew, would you like to address that and give us a summary of what that's all about? I know you've been working on that for quite a while since issue 2 passed.
Oh. So you're aware that Andrew and I have been in the process past year of updating the county policy manual as a whole. And plan was to roll everything out together, but due to passage of 2 and then the law going into effect, it was correct. We felt that it was necessary and appropriate to go ahead and update the drug and alcohol policy to reflect this change in the law, and then also to add a section specific. So that's why we're here today to do that. And Andrew, I don't know if you want to hit any highlights of it. We just wanted to reflect, and we did have some questions. I did anyway, from different departments about, does this new law impact our policy or how we address or deal with this issue in the workplace? And the basic response is no, but we needed to address some things.
And you'll see section, of course, section 7.17 is a part of our personnel policy manual. This applies to county employees. Section 10.7 applies to county property. So whether you're an employee or not an employee of Richland County, if it's marijuana use, Richland County property, this is in part responsive to the voter-approved legislation in November authorizing recreational marijuana use. Richland County has a drug-free work culture, and we tend to maintain a drug-free culture on Richland County property. That's the rationale behind these policies.
Can we approve these together, or do you think they should be done separately?
Their way is fine. I would do it separately.
All right, could I have a motion to approve section 7.17 of the drug and alcohol policy?
Move.
Second.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Could I have a motion to approve 10.17 of the marijuana policy for, as it pertains to county property?
So move.
Second.
Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Thank you for your hard work on all that. Appreciate it.
We probably should break for questions now, because I don't know if you're going to stick around for the rest of the agenda, Kelly. So Grace, do you have any questions on the marijuana policy?
I mean, it sounds like it's more or less business as usual, so I don't think so, unless there's anything that you want me to make sure I.
You're correct.
Okay, sounds good.
Al, do you have any questions on this particular item?
Yeah, specifically, I'm assuming this is like a total ban on marijuana use both inside and outside the building.
That's right, Al. And as you know, prior to December 7th of this year, it was contrary to state law to use marijuana recreationally. So the county didn't need to have this new policy with respect to use on county property by non-employees at that time. But with the change in law, we do need to have it memorialized in policy now.
And the federal laws has not changed.
That's true. Yes.
In terms of its effect on employees, does it totally prohibit them from using marijuana or just on county property?
We would be happy to get you a copy of the policy, Al. It's a zero tolerance policy for being under the influence of drugs or alcohol while at work.
So basically, it's similar to what you've had, drugs and alcohol, but you now also specifically list marijuana.
We do.
Okay, I think that's all I need. I don't necessarily need to see the policy unless you think it would be advantageous for me to see it.
Do you need any help going to sleep at night?
Now you have your pot plants planted already and your heat lamp.
If you have a change of heart, Al, we'd be happy to get it to you.
This probably won't change your lifestyle, will it, Al?
Oh, don't be out. I was a big.
No,
Grateful
I
Dead guy.
don't. I don't think so. Never had an urge for marijuana. Still don't.
I thought you liked Cypress Hill, Al.
Like what now?
It's all right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the,
That's it. Thank you.
okay. We'll move on. Could I have a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the library and JFS for 211 services?
So moved.
Second. And Harry 211 does a good job at that. And it's a good service for the people of Richland County.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Yes.
And could I have a motion to approve the auto title lease retroactive to January 1st, 2023 to December 31st of 2026?
So move.
Second.
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Do we have any other business to come before the Board of Commissioners right now? Talk about the library appointment?
I guess we could do that now. I had Stacy had that on the agenda for Thursday, but we can knock it out now, but we can do it now, right?
If you want to.
Sure.
Or for next Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, next Thursday. But sure, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we have a candidate. Let me pull up the resume here if I can.
Tara Strang is her name.
Tara Murator Strang. We have, because Jody Perry is leaving the library board, Chris May, the director of the library, was looking for a candidate and happened to come across a Tara Murator Strang, who is a candidate. Has an extremely impressive resume. She currently works at NASA in an educational capacity. She has a PhD from the Ohio State University. She's actually local. She lives just a little bit of commuting to the Glenn Research Center, but she works largely remote from her home in Madison, so she's a local person. And talking to Chris May, he likes to have representatives on the board that are geographically dispersed across all the areas that the library services. So can I have a motion to approve Tara Murator Strang to the library board?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vero?
Yes.
Okay. Move right in. Well, should we move right into budget discussion at this time?
Al's got a question.
Oh, Al, you have a question?
Yeah, back to the lease. Was that just an oversight? Yeah, I see it's retroactive.
Yeah, I missed it.
Okay. Is that something that kind of automatically renews if you approve it or
Well,
any other?
we did like 3 years, I think, on this one. But yes, there's usually an end date. And then I just missed the renewal, so we want to cover why they expended their rent expense this year. So that's why we did it retroactive.
Okay, well, the board just keeps you so busy. That's understandable.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Al.
Trying to help.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, Grace, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we can then move into our budget discussions of the non-general fund departments.
So I do think, I don't know if we need to review every one, but I do think there's one that we probably should talk about. That would be the dog warden. So Stacy, Andrew, and I met probably for an hour yesterday, looking at end of year projections. Obviously Stacy being the ultimate guru, I'm going to gloat a little bit and say I think I'm gonna win the lunch bet with Auditor Dropsy, so that always tickles my fancy, just to get that out there, which is a good thing for the county.
That
I mean, I think I text him every day, you're in trouble, and we have a good time, but we'll have a recommendation to the board on what to do with surplus monies next Thursday. I think a couple of them are very creative as we really, now that we've got the county in a good financial position, now it's fine tuning, budget items where we can look white out into advance and to budget for. I mean, that includes the 27th pay, which isn't until 2032. So we're now at a point, knock on wood, where we have the county in a financial position where we can even look at budgeting 8 years in advance. So I have some creative recommendations on that, but one of the things we're probably going to need to do, I just went this morning, I have real-time data that shows we have 121 dogs at our dog wardens department. To give you an idea of where we were during COVID, we were about an average of 30 dogs. And even as inflation hits and money gets tighter, dog wardens all across the country see an increase in dogs. We were about, and Missy said we averaged anywhere from 60 to 70 last year. So our staff is working hard but the increase in dog obviously comes increase in expenses. So while we are in the black barely right now, at the dog warden department, it looks like we're probably gonna come $20,000 to the negative, once the year's over. So, I don't know if we want to discuss that now, but it looks like, and we will have a surplus, come 2023. So one of the pieces that Andrew, Stacy, and I came up with was, recommending a transfer of $60,000 in general fund surplus monies to the dog warden, for 2024. Their budget, again, for 2024 is tight. I mean,
She turned in a negative, but
she turned in a negative budget. Now, that could change, obviously, if dogs go down. If you look at it.
Let's get a 23,000, roughly 23,000.
Right, the $60,000 would cover any potential shortfall this year and the negative for next year, we believe. I don't like transferring a bunch of money because I do want to keep them to continue to monitor their budget and to try to be in the black, but I think $60,000 is probably the right amount to transfer to not have them run a deficit for this year and not run a deficit for next year.
I get the feeling they're always on pins and needles with nickels and dimes and then trying to manage with, we have an amazing staff out there. We really do, Missy and so on. I think that's just well planned, well thought out.
It's unprecedented to have that many dogs and we want them to work to get to the black and continue to work in the black, but this should, with the situation out there now, this would give them a year, get them back towards the black anyhow.
Okay, so do you want to wait and do it as a package on next Thursday, or do you just want to make that motion now? What do you guys think?
I'm okay with the motion now.
Okay, I'll make a motion at this time that we transfer $60,000 of general fund monies to the dog warden fund to cover expenses for the end of this year and for 2024 budgeting.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Mr. Banks,
Yes.
Mr. Vero.
Yes. Okay, Cliff, your turn. Thank you.
Discuss Dayspring next.
Sure.
Any thoughts on Dayspring? Their projected revenue is up 1.3. Expenses overall up 2.6. Not a lot of change there. We just approved the new boiler project for them. See any changes for next year?
I do not.
Okay. What about CAC? Alternative Center. Still out there, I mean, their wages are. Well, 6.6% is what I'm seeing, many of them 3% on the personnel service schedule.
Their wages are projected to be down from what they're gonna finish the year at, and they are reducing headcount, so that's good. I always try to look at, obviously, salaries. Didn't see anything. I thought it was a pretty reasonable budget. They have a carryover that's decent, but not exorbitant. So I didn't see anything from CAC.
They're when I compare the personal service schedule to the salaries on the overall budget, we're showing their salaries at $853,000.
Kelly,
So what that usually is, Cliff, is there's some overtime potentially for staff that has to
Oh.
stay. It's a 24/7 operation. So if you look at OT and whatnot, that's why it's never a spot on number.
Okay. Suggestions or changes for Community Alternative Center? Okay. Auto title, anything there?
No, I'm Team Helen Huffman. Those budgets are perfect and she does an excellent job. I don't see anything.
Yeah, always been spot on.
Denise and Helen do a great job.
Auto license and gas tax in the engineer's office.
Adam does a good job as well. I
think we touched on some of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's his budget as a whole. He's unique in that he's the one elected office that's out of the general fund for the most part. But, you know, a lot of his employees are represented by a collective bargaining unit. So wages are pretty much tied to the agreements. Adam does a good job with his budgeting. I didn't see anything there that at his budget hearing that would
Yeah.
necessitate a change.
Did I? I don't see a budget for the law library. Is that a separate budget item?
I have it. It's very reasonable. They are not a big budget, I mean, Jerry Bandy does an excellent job. What a job he's done coming in and getting that up to speed. Not a huge salary. They have a little bit of money in a carryover, but and we don't give a general fund contribution
Yeah.
as well.
expenses, we decided to start purchasing a few more books, like we had stopped kind of like everything until they figured out what was going on and everything. So they've added a few. They did that this year. But he's purchasing a few more resources for the library. So
That is what a law library is supposed to do, right, Mr. Keller?
Who's to wireless 911? Sheriff's.
No, I think they're using that wisely and they,
Get federal funds.
every time you use your cell phone, a monthly fee of your cell phone, helps to support that. And they did with the new 911 package that's coming out from the state, which won't be right away, but will be coming. The state did increase that by 40 cents, I think.
I know they keep talking about next generation 911, but I still don't see that coming any.
It
Talked about that at conference and I had conversations with Jimmy.
yeah.
Maybe someday, but I don't see how they're gonna meet their projection in the next couple of years.
They're pulling it out at a couple counties to see how it goes. Once they get it ready, they're not ready to do that yet. That's a ways off.
Okay. What about the mental health and recovery services board?
New director is doing a good job. I didn't see anything there. The board's been very busy, obviously, lately, but I think things have really stabilized. I didn't see much, you guys. Just, so you know, I come in, I think I told you this, but at, mid-January, I have a note to review all outside general fund budgets, the major ones and their carryovers, and I have a spreadsheet. So also, as we finish the year, I'll get back with you guys too on just carryovers and whatnot, but they're healthy and raises aren't unreasonable, particularly with inflation, so I didn't see anything.
Have a board member resigning in March. Got some in the pipeline now that are under discussion. Some excellent candidates. Okay. I'm gonna move on to New Hope. Yeah, for New Hope.
Ask for, alls they emailed was like what finance needs, which is just a list of, there's no names with the line items, all revenue, all expenses. I did ask Shauna this morning to send us the detail, but,
One thing we do need to see,
in mid-year.
I know they have a very complex budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've done that, but I do think we at least need to see a personal service schedule and I take a look at salaries, but we do need to see at least a personal service schedule just to take a look. I mean, we appoint their board, so we have to give deference to the board, but it's still our job to review budgets, so need a little more from them, I think.
Okay.
But they're expensive and they do a good job over there.
Move on to Children's Services. Nikki, if I was.
They look good. I reviewed it.
They're taking care of more kids now.
And I'm sure with marijuana being legal, that'll go down.
Right, rock. That,
It's the ripple effect, right? That's the long-term effects. So I would imagine they're gonna have more kids in the system, not less.
Not gonna help. Oh. Oh, yeah, I just realized the Engineer Road and Bridge is also not general fund, but we're okay with that one, right?
yeah. Got a few bridges on the list to get done.
Talked about soil and water already.
We have a separate elected board. People get confused when they see commissioners, they think it's us, but it's the soil and water. Well, Board of Supervisors, but some people confuse us.
And the county money is general fund money
Well, a contribution of it,
from the general fund.
right?
We talk about it during our general fund budget.
We did.
We talked about it now at the soil and water meeting yesterday. Very sad that Fred Cook passed away, a longtime supervisor, great guy, good man. An appointment was made so that spot has been filled.
Supervisory positions are elected. Anybody in the county has a vote. I believe it's start voting maybe in October or November. Anybody wants to participate, they are encouraged to do so.
And we substantially increased the general fund contribution over the past couple of years. So, I think the conversations with Erica moving forward is, We gotta start tightening that up. We have substantially increased contributions over the past couple years, and it's a sign that they've done a good job and they've picked up some additional responsibilities, or at least started doing some of the things that was expected in the past, but I don't think there should always be an expectation moving forward that we're gonna continue to substantially increase the budget.
And they've received some grants from the Richland Foundation for interns and so on.
Right, so she's proactive in getting monies and we're happy, but you know, we have certainly approved the requests for the most part.
So let's talk about solid waste.
Daryl?
What do you think, Daryl?
I think solid waste is doing a marvelous job.
I couldn't agree more.
Uh, Staff out there has, mostly the same people. They've upped their game, Eddie Hale, and, it's done great.
Yeah, great leadership out there.
And, they helped, they donated, didn't donate, but they gave $150,000 to help take care of Noble Road, which the engineer will tell you was in great need of it. So they're participating with that. And, good carryover and improve some of the equipment. High praise for solid waste.
Except that I think he goes to the Adam Grove School of Accounting where he has the most recent numbers on the left and not the right. Aside from that,
I will pass that on.
okay. So why don't we look next at the health department?
Pains me to compliment Kevin Van Meter, but he does a good job.
He's got a 43-page budget.
Well, he probably's got a very good assistant, I would guess.
I can't say enough about the job Dr. Chea has done since taking over for the previous director.
Yeah, well said.
I had that conversation. You talk about culture and just feelings of an agency in our county are out, and the environment out there at the public health since Dr. Chea took over for the previous director is just night and day. You're welcomed. Dr. Chea is always available, always friendly. We'll talk about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library next year. We'll have a major announcement about that. She's very busy. She stepped up. She's like, we want it back in Richland County. I mean, it
Well
was,
respected.
yeah, she's not that I didn't think she would do a good job, but she's exceeded any expectations I had, which are already high. So I think she's done great.
Talked to one of our individual churches that wanted to do some health screening and stuff, and the cooperation now compared to what it was is beyond belief. She's really helped them out.
And she's got some proactive, she asked to meet with me last week on some things she was thinking about. And so she's looking to expand programming too. So she's doing great.
And with a smile on her face.
That's right. Instead of getting yelled at.
Well, those are the major departments I had.
Well, I still show, we have our own CSEA, JFS,
Oh,
planning. Cliff, you're on regional plan. Wastewater is us. But again, CSEA, wastewater, I think we may need to have some additional, I was okay with theirs. Amanda did great. We had them at their budget hearing. And same with, let's see, Janet, CSEA, Amanda, wastewater. I didn't see anything at either of those. Did you?
No. JFS, Lori's doing a good job down there, and
The only question I had there is we continue to talk about the JFS wages. We know we need to get our supervisors up as the people they supervise start to creep up and maybe even exceed them in salary, which is difficult to have people progress in the system. Do we have any update on that?
he has been working on it and have we've got a plan that we'll bring to you, bring to the whole board after the holidays.
Okay.
Wage scale.
Yeah, the wage scale should be.
Daryl, I can add to that. yesterday and today, we have met and are meeting with consultant retained by the commissioners to assist compression issue at JFS with respect to wages. So that's ongoing, and I do know the director will be reporting back to the board next.
Thank you.
Cliff, how about regional planning? You sit on it
Mhm.
and there's other elected officials, so we don't usually nitpick that.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Anything?
No. I think Whitaker's doing a phenomenal job. She's had some additions to staff. Gene Taddy's is doing a marvelous job, and it's nice to have Adam Hill Warren back. He brings a lot to the community, so I think she's doing a fine job. I did inadvertently skip over wastewater. I do want to mention that. I think Amanda Miller's doing it. She's I think, a great leader out there. She's got a lot of things going on. Had a recent retirement in Bill Muncy. He'll be leaving in the next couple of days, but she's been recruiting for someone in billing. She's sorting through that now. Heavily involved in the Belleville infrastructure project. I think she's doing a marvelous job out there, and I don't see anything that we need to tweak here. She's got reasonable increases in wages. She keeps an eye on the budget. I think she does an amazing job. So I don't have any suggestions for wastewater.
Yeah, man, it does great.
I
Well,
think that's probably the one department I speak to the most, because there is a lot going on there, but I have a great deal of confidence in her and what she's doing.
I show transit too. Their budget, we always say we always want to balance budget. Their budget can be a little misleading. They're showing a little more expenses than revenue, but that's a function of the federal dollars they receive. They have received some COVID money, so their budget is actually in good shape. But if you're wondering when you looked at that, that's not uncommon, but their budget is healthy. And, we also did approve a increase in their general fund contribution.
Did, yeah.
So, just if you're wondering why that is, but their budget looked okay as well.
Is there anything else, any of you want to talk about? I think we've covered most, all of them.
I do want to say one thing, and we've made it known. There has been some offices, particularly one elected office, that has been resistant to submitting non-general fund budgets. And those are budgets just as important as the general fund budget. So I just want to make sure that next year that we maybe make sure we receive those, and that's incumbent upon us as liaisons. But there's been one elected office in particular that has just flat out refused to send non-general fund budgets. And I sort of made it known that next year the expectation is a little different, and I'm making sure I track those as well to make sure I do receive them. I spent a lot of time. We have governments have a lot of funds for a lot of reasons created by statutes, but I have a listing of non-general funds related to elected offices. So I will continue to monitor that next year, but unless you guys say otherwise, I still think the expectation is you need to submit a non-general fund budget. Andrew?
And then what they do is they just continually ask for additional appropriations throughout the year. Because if you don't turn one in, you don't have appropriations at the beginning of the year.
Right.
So then throughout the year, as they decide to do things, that's when you guys get those requests for additional appropriations.
I mean, just flat out refusals. It's a little frustrating. I would agree. I check those balances too. I'm always in the budgets. So anyways,
Okay. We'll talk about the reinvestment fund.
I would just say maybe we talk about that next week,
So I have,
unless you have something else.
I'm finishing up reinvestment since you kind of approved Josh's projects. And Andrew and I are meeting, Tuesday to finish up the ARPA funds I mean, I know the revenue, but kind of like where to put the funds and what line items for what we're expecting. So we'll do those Tuesday, so you will have them Wednesday to do a big final approval on Thursday of non-general funds. So I think I'm ready for reinvestment. Since you just approved those projects, I need to put that in there. And I have what we didn't spend this year that we approved, ready to go. So I'll have those all firmed up Tuesday.
And on the good news on that, when Stacy, Andrew and I, we looked at all of Josh's capital requests through 2026, which are around $2.8 million. We continue to invest in capital. We believe with the surplus that we'll be able to give Josh the head nod and be able to approve, obviously, as of now, to pay for every capital expense he notes through 2026 with some decent additional monies to put into capital. So that's on the good side. And we'll have those for you next week. But talk about doing what the taxpayers want you to do, right? Invest in capital, don't borrow money to do it, set money aside. We're doing all that. Talked to Daryl, today? We've passed a balanced budget. Every year the board kind of changed hands in 2017, a true balanced budget. So
Signage is gonna be coming out of reinvestment, and that'll happen. Some of that is gonna happen next year. I think
And-
I think it's a big.
yeah, and
it's a
maybe even
combination.
next week, at least the building signage, but we're taking a look at that.
With me?
Anything else? Okay. Is there any other business to come forward the Board of Commissioners right now? Okay, hearing none.
Don't need to meet this afternoon,
No, I don't, oh, it's Cliff's call. He's the chair, so.
doesn't, yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I was gonna ask that question afterwards, but
Okay.
yeah. No need to, 1 o'clock that we had scheduled?
We had 1:30 scheduled.
Yeah. Maybe we can take that off our calendars. Hearing no other business, the Board of Commissioners stands adjourned at 10:27.